the first question that we have here in the book, and I like every chapter I start with a question, but the first question here is who must be licensed? It's very simple. It says anyone who takes part in a real estate transaction for another person for a fee, commission, or development consideration must have a real estate license. So what does that mean? If you want to participate in a real estate transaction and you expect something in exchange, you must have a real estate license. So Patricia, if you sell your dad's house, do you need a license? Why?
Because you're selling something for somebody else, basically.
Mm-hmm. You don't need a license. If your dad decides to pay you something, give you something in exchange, like here's a car.
Okay, so you pay in return.
Correct. So if there's an exchange of value, there's any kind of consideration, any kind of monetary or physical consideration, then you must have a license. If you're helping your father sell his house, then you just help him. No problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Then it says the licenses are governed by the Real Estate License Act, known as Title 45, Chapter 15. For a state exam, unfortunately, you must know this stuff. In real life, you can Google, and then you see what the things are. At the end of the book, once you have the book, at the end of the book, it also has all these rules and regulations. And the rules and regulations are set up by the Commission, known as Title 11, Chapter 5 of the Administrative Code. What I would like you to do is where it says Administrative Code, you're going to write NJAC.
I'll do it.
NJAC 11.5. NJAC 11.5. And the only reason why I say this is because later on in the book, it says NJAC 11.5, and I want you to kind of remember that it belongs to the New Jersey Administrative Code. Okay? If you go to the right-hand side, it says Real Estate Commission. And the New Jersey Real Estate Commission is a division of the Department of Banking and Insurance. It's composed of 8 members, and they're appointed by the governor. 5 of these members are real estate brokers, and they've been licensed as such for at least 10 years. So, Real Estate Commission is the group that regulates us as realtors, as salespeople, actually, and broker salespeople, the licenses we're going to talk about. And again, to be part of the commission, 5 of those members must be brokers. That means they have 10 years of experience helping other salespeople do the transactions and helping the public. Okay, 2 of them are chosen from the general public. So me and you could be a part of the real estate commission. It's more like the people's advocates. They work for the people. Because if we let the brokers and the government handle the commission, then who's going to look out for us? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 2 are chosen from the general public. These first 7, they're actually there for 3 years. So the time that they're allowed to stay in the election is 3 years. But there's one more because it's 8 members. That extra member is appointed by the governor. He just picks somebody, and that somebody, the governor can decide to keep him there for a year, 10 years, maybe a week, maybe 1 day. Okay? All others, 3 years. Okay? Now it says here classes of licenses. Do you guys have any idea what kind of licenses, without reading, what kind of licenses we have?
You have a broker.
The broker license, because you read right now.
No, I knew
I'm
that.
just kidding.
Broker license. Salesperson license.
Salesperson license, what else?
Wait.
Driving license.
The driver's license, of course. Not for real estate. Well, I hope you have one, because it helps. You don't have to, but it helps.
Referral agent.
Referral, okay. And?
Dual? No.
Close to it. It's a mix, it's a hybrid.
Sales broker.
Broker sales. Thank you, it's close to it. Close enough. So here's the thing, the very first one that says there is broker. Now the broker is the main person, the one responsible for the whole office, okay? So you have to have one person, that person is called the broker of record. There could be other brokers in the company, but the broker of record is the one that if anybody wants to sue the company, they sue the broker. You got it? So there's broker, and then all the other licenses, the other 3 licenses are under the broker. So then you have salesperson, broker salesperson, and you have the referral agent. But the broker is the one responsible for all 3 licenses, okay? A salesperson, which is what you guys will be initially, a salesperson is someone that works under the sponsoring licensed broker and doing business in the name of the broker and receiving compensation only from that broker. What does that mean? There's other brokerages out there. But if you're sponsored by me, you can only get paid by me. So if you represent Remax, for instance, that Remax brokerage is your broker, therefore, he's the one that pays you. Can you work with Weichert? Yes. But Weichert broker will pay your broker and your broker will pay you. You cannot receive monies from anybody else other than your broker in a real estate transaction. Okay? What is the broker supposed to do? Furnish guidance and direction, and is personally responsible for you, like I said. Then we have a broker salesperson. The broker salesperson, I call it a hybrid because it's a mix between a salesperson and a broker. So if you work under another broker, you'll always be a broker salesperson because you're not the broker of record. Remember I said that? Okay. So the broker salesperson has qualified, and I'll talk about qualifications in a second. They have qualified. They have reached their eligibility and decided, you know what? Let me take that license. Okay, like he's about to do. Let me take that license. You know, but once they take their license, they're like, you know what? I'm not ready to open an office, or I really never wanted to open an office. I just want to have that just in case. And they're okay. But since they're under somebody else, they're called broker salespeople. The last one, and I'll tell you this now, because the exam still did not change that much, but there's the referral agent. As of last year, we no longer have referral agents. The referral agents are now salespeople working under a referral agency. Okay, so it's a referral company. It's no longer a referral agent. Okay, but a referral agent, if you work in that capacity, it says right there, you can only, and I want you to underline only or circle only, you can only refer, and that's very, very important. As a referral agent, you cannot be involved in a real estate transaction, like preparing documents, showing houses, discussing anything about the deal. All you can do is say, hey, Patricia, here's a client. And if you close, I get paid something. If you don't close, I don't get paid anything, but that's with everything, okay? But that's all I can do is refer. You guys got it? Mm-hmm. What if you refer, like you work with Remax and you work with Weichert, that's it. And I'm your client, and you go to Anthony, that's Weichert, but down south. Mm-hmm. It's the only guy that you know, he's a top producer down there, and you don't want to travel down there. So you're gonna say, hey, Tony, I got Bruno. He wants to buy something in Atlantic City, can you help him? Because he works for another agency, again, he gets paid by his broker, but the broker's gonna split a fee, a referral fee to your broker then splits with you. You got it? Yeah. So referrals are great because you don't have to go down to a different market, waste your time, right? Mm-hmm. And money, and maybe not get anything. Mm-hmm. So you let somebody else handle it, and you get paid, okay? Any questions so far on the license? Mm-hmm. All right. Now it says here, all initial, renewed, and reinstated licenses are issued on a biennial term that expires on June 30th of odd-numbered years. What does that mean? It means that this year, I have to renew my license. Every odd-numbered year, 2019, there's 2021, 23, and so on. By June 30th, I must have my CE credits, which I'll talk about in a second, and I must have paid to renew my license. So a license is valid for 2 years only, okay? All right, this is just a fact check. Have you noticed anything with real estate like getting better, or there's a lot of people getting into real estate? Like you're an investor, so have you felt like there's a big movement of people getting in this? Yeah. Yes?
Everyone. Everyone's becoming a salesperson at this point.
Or an investor. Okay, so do you think there's a lot of competition?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. In 2017, not too long ago, there were approximately 93,000 brokers, broker salespersons, and referral agents altogether. 93,000. That's a big number, right? Yes?
But wait, is it only New Jersey?
That's just New Jersey.
Oh.
Is that a big number?
No, I don't think so.
Right now we have over 130,000. Is it a big number?
Not yet.
It's getting.
It won't be. Because in New Jersey, there's over 9 million people. Now you're going to tell me, oh, but 9 million people don't buy real estate. Yes, but 93,000 brokers, salespersons, broker salespersons, and referral agents don't get involved in real estate at all. Mm. They have a license, and nationwide, 90% of realtors don't even sell one house. They got their license, haven't done anything with it. Mm. So these numbers mean nothing to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No competition whatsoever. Here in Newark, Harrison, Jersey City, and so on, the people say it's saturated with realtors. Still no competition. Still no competition. We still get listings across the street, and we're right here. We can still go across the street from another agency and still get a listing from them. A buyer. See, I usually try to explain this in real estate, is that the way you follow up, the way you keep up with relationships will determine your success. Because if you don't follow up with your clients, then guess what? He's there to get your clients. I'm there to get your clients. You got it? I just spoke with somebody earlier. He was already working with another realtor before, but then because somebody else said, hey, talk to Bruno, guess what? He trusted that person. Now he's going with me versus the other one. You see the difference? This happens all the time with us. So take care of your business because somebody else will if you don't. All right. Any questions?
No.
No, cool. No, cool.
I have a question, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I go back to referral agent. So you said that referral agent is basically non-existent at this point, right? And that they've gone
The
under.
license,
The license?
referral agent does not exist.
Okay.
Okay, so the license itself. So category. There's broker, salesperson, and referral. This category, this class of license does not exist anymore. Now you're a salesperson.
Okay.
It's just that your license is under a referral company.
Okay.
That's it. It operates exactly the same way. So if you want to become a active salesperson again,
Mhm.
you have to switch from the referral company to the actual real estate company. Okay? While you're licensed under the referral company, all you can do is refer. You cannot get involved in real estate.
Transactions. Okay.
Okay. Activities covered. So when the work is being performed for another person and in anticipation of a fee, like you want to get paid or commission, a broker's license is required to list real estate for sale. You go on the right-hand side on top. It says sell, exchange, buy, auction, or rent real estate. Collect rent, solicit prospective purchasers or sellers, negotiate real estate loans, sell lots or other parcels for a developer, sell business opportunities that involve real estate, or attempt to do any of the above. So any of these, you have to be a broker. So let's figure out what we do as salespeople, okay? As a salesperson, if you notice I have it highlighted there, allows the holder to operate under the supervision of a licensed broker to do what? Assist in. You're just assisting. You're helping your broker. Remember, everything is under your broker. And here's what you can do. You can negotiate the purchase, sale, or exchange of real estate. You can negotiate real estate loans, leasing, renting, and collecting rent, selling lots or other parcels for a developer. Now, if you know a little bit of real estate, is there anything missing on the salesperson that you thought you would do? Actually, we just talked about it a few minutes ago. Anything missing that you thought you would do as a salesperson?
Receiving payments.
You thought you would do that? Well, you get paid,
No,
but from your broker.
yeah. But if you wouldn't, if you didn't know any of this, you would assume that the salesperson gets paid themselves directly through the transaction, not
Correct.
knowing that there's a broker.
Correct. But there's also one thing. If you guys look at the previous list of what the broker does, what's missing?
Listings.
Listings.
Yeah.
So who gets the listings? Is it the broker or is it you?
The broker.
Or
No, you do. But only the broker can list. See, you assist the broker in the negotiation, but the listing is under the brokerage. It's a Remax listing. It's a Wiker listing. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
It's not yours. You're the listing agent, but the listing belongs to the agency. What does that mean? If you leave the agency, the listing stays behind.
Right.
It's not yours. You got it? Okay, it's very important that you know that because in the exam, there's tricky questions. And you got to know that that's not yours. Anything that you acquire for the company belongs to the company while it's active. After it's inactive, it depends on your contract, which we'll talk about in a different section, but that's what it is. Okay. Good. Now, to every rule, there's what?
Exceptions.
Exemptions. Exemptions to every rule. There's only one rule that doesn't have exemptions, which is the rule of life. We live, we die.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else we can bend. While you're alive, you get sick, well, there's medication and you can work around it. Right? You can even extend life, but once you're dead, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Unless you're my uncle, he comes back alive.
Some crazy water out there.
Listen, he was declared for 45 minutes. He was declared dead, and he came back alive. So, anyway, it was scary for the doctors too.
Wow.
So exemptions. What are the exemptions? It says right here that a real estate license is not, circle not, required for owners handling their own property. So these are called the for sale by owners. They're advertising their property without the assistance of a realtor. Okay? Do you need to have a realtor to sell your property?
No.
No. And that's what they think. You really don't need, because they want to save money. They want to pay the realtor, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. These are the for sale by owners. They're unrepresented sellers. Attorneys, executors, trustees, receivers, administrators, legal guardians, and others handling real estate under the order of a court. See, if the judge says, and this is what you have to think, if the judge says, hey, Tony, you're going to help Pedro sell his house. If the judge says that, then it's a court order and you follow. So it's not regulated by the real estate commission, it's by the court order. So anything that says here, if you see in the question, ordered by the court, ordered by the judge, then it's okay.
You have
Right?
to.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to. You can say, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And they'll appoint somebody else. But
Okay.
whoever's appointed, that's what we're saying. Whoever's appointed, like executors, we're talking about a will. You have a last will and testament, and the person that you assign is called an executor.
Mm.
That person is ordered by the court or by the will itself to execute your will. So if they have to sell real estate in order to give money to the heirs, right, then they will. Again, based on an order.
Right.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Banks and trust companies and insurance companies, they're also exempt from real estate license. Now, next thing it says is payment for services. Do you see it?
Mhm.
It's actually the only thing that matters in the whole book is getting paid, right? Forget the rules, forget all that stuff. Oh wait, we're recording. Anyway,
Don't forget.
don't forget it. This camera's right on me. The point is, payment for services. There's something that you have to pay attention to, which is to collect a commission. You got to be licensed at the time that the service is performed. So if you have a closing tomorrow, but your license expired today, can you collect commission?
No,
But you've been working on it all this time, and the closing is tomorrow.
but it's past your license.
Your bedtime. It's past your.
Or your license expired.
Your license expired, so you're not active. If you're not active, you cannot collect commission.
But can you do something else, like you always do?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Uh-huh.
Just kidding.
Can you do something else? No. If you have a nice broker, your broker's going to hold on to that payment until you're active again. Because you got to be active at the time that the payment is made. That's it. So you reinstate your license and you should be okay. If you don't have a good broker, you're going to have a very happy broker and a very sad salesperson. Okay?
I'm so sorry. I didn't want to interrupt your.
Oh, it's fine. I'm glad you did. This is how I like my classes, by the way.
There you go.
Just interact. Talking.
Ah,
I'm surprised he's quiet. Now, it is illegal.
I'm trying to learn
It
something.
is illegal. It is illegal. All right. Make sure you pay attention to this. It says it is illegal for anyone to share in any portion of the commission without a real estate license. So can we work around? The answer is right there. It's illegal.
got it.
Okay? So, I don't know, Anthony, you're thinking about an envelope just falling on your lap right now. Illegal. So no.
I would report that.
You would report
I would
the
report,
envelope?
hey man, somebody dropped the envelope in front of me.
Better take it or run.
Take it out. Cool. So it's illegal. Now, a broker may share commissions only with his or her associated salespersons and referral agents, or with another broker in the event of a cooperative listing or referral, including a broker who's licensed in another state. As I was mentioning earlier, if you refer to somebody down south, totally different agency, right? That agent gets paid, and you get paid a referral, but it goes through their broker, to your broker, and then to you. Can you refer to somebody in California? Yeah. Again, the agent works through the broker that pays your broker that pays you.
Okay.
You got it?
The big triangle.
Yeah. The broker always got to get paid. But to every rule, there's
Exception.
an exception. So, Ali, you want to work around?
Nah, I don't want to say anything anymore.
You want to work around? Here you go. There's the exception. It says right here, after a new law went into effect in early 2010, allows the selling broker, and when we say selling broker, it's the one representing the buyer. Okay, so if you're gonna make a note, a selling broker is the one that represents the buyer, because there's listing broker, there's selling broker. And the selling broker can rebate part of the commission to the buyer in the form of a credit or a check. Now, I just have a quick question. Why would somebody give money to a buyer? I mean, the buyer's supposed to have money. Because we can only give money to the buyer, not to the seller, so underline buyer. But why would somebody give money to the buyer when they're supposed to have money? Can I go over this with you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're missing on the closing date, you're off by. I forgot exactly how you said it too.
Okay, so I'll put it this way. If you screw up on your job
Mm-hmm.
and you don't give the right values to your buyer might get to the closing table and there's a difference.
They're short, yeah.
They're short, they're not ready for it. So he always estimate for more rather than less. Now, this agreement should actually be at the beginning. And we're going to talk about that in a separate part. It should be at the beginning of the transaction. That's why you're going to see, along the way, you're going to see some brokers that advertise their rebate brokers. Like, come with us and we actually give you money at closing.
Yeah.
That's how they advertise. Because up front, you should notify them that that's what you're going to do. But emergencies happen. And I always talk about this particular case, which actually was with him, where right before closing, there's something, what was it that was in the house that they needed to take out?
It was a big
Royalty?
China cabinet
China cabinet that was built in.
built in.
So it's a built-in China cabinet. And the estimate to remove was roughly $500.
That's what they want. It's kind of no estimate.
Okay, $500. So because of $500, they almost did not close. $500. Does that even make any sense to you?
Yeah, no.
So how much were you going to make in that deal, or maybe in that deal?
15.
15,000.
Mm-hmm.
What's $500 to you? If you're about to make 15,000.
No.
So that's what he did. He made a deal. Here's $500. Let's close. Give me my commission, and I'll walk away happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, a lot of you, and when I say a lot of you, I say salespeople and brokers, you're so greedy that even for $500, you will not close. You want your whole commission. And I'll tell you this because of $5,400. It's more than $500. But somebody, which I'm not going to mention on camera right now, but somebody was about to make $23,000 in commission right before Christmas. But because of $5,400, it took him another 7 months to close. If I'm about to make $23,000 right before Christmas, I'll make a deal with a buyer. Hey, I'll help you out right now. Pay me in installments. Something.
Exactly.
It doesn't say you cannot do that. It just says if you're going to do a rebate at closing, you got to express it. It's a rebate to the buyer. You can make a separate arrangement for them to pay you back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So sometimes because of that, 7 months later, what's those $5,000 after 7 months? Nothing.
Mhm.
So you should have taken it right there and then. Even if it was a complete loss, you still walk away before Christmas with 18,000, right? That's my opinion. That's not in the exam, but it's my opinion. It's just a matter of logic. I'd rather walk away with some money than no money. Oh, and by the way, especially because December, January, and February are probably the worst months as a realtor.
Yeah.
I mean, you get your closings lined up, but you're not really showing houses. Winter, it's tough, right?
Not for the realtors, but for everybody.
For everybody,
Doesn't
exactly.
everybody know you spend all the money on December? Christmas party,
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
Presents.
So
No,
now you would have,
January.
now you would have $18,000 to spend on presents for your instructor.
And you could spend more time focused on others on other sales during that time.
Exactly. Versus the stress, why haven't we closed yet? All right. You can even go on your vacation at that time. It's cold here, let's go to Bahamas. Or
Punta Cana.
Punta Cana.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, next page. It says finder fees. Finder's fees is when somebody approaches you, as an investor, you're going to start knowing this stuff. Somebody approaches you and says, hey, Patricia, I'll give you $500,000, $2,000 if you find me a deal like this. That's a finder's fees. You're what's called a bird dog. You're looking for deals for somebody else. Monies or gifts to unlicensed persons who refer buyers or sellers are forbidden. What does that mean? So now I'll go with Ali real quick.
No, I'm not going over there.
No, don't worry. I'm going on what you said.
No.
I'm going on what you said
It's okay.
before.
No.
Workarounds.
Listen, I'm not here. This is,
I'm not here.
I'm watching. This is my first day over here. I think that you were here before.
It's my first day.
No?
No.
You start today?
Mhm.
Yeah?
Today's chapter.
Does he look like that you've spoken before? You
Yeah.
had some conversation, because, you know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
She
know,
was
I
here
was
when you
talking
left.
shit before, when I
She was
got
an
here.
early bird.
Yeah.
She was here when you left.
Ah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I think I did see you when
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
coming up.
20 minutes, you learn your
Yeah.
Jesus. Because I'm a kind of lost over here. I have no idea what I'm like
Don't worry.
learn today, but I will.
There you
The,
go.
the first 3 days is going to be like that. And then you get it.
Yeah.
It's
Let's
easy.
see.
Plus, it's being recorded, so you guys are going to have access to this as well. Anyway, so what we're saying here is that when you're an investor, there's a lot of investors that go around and give money to people to find deals. That is technically illegal. There's workarounds. So you asked me about a workaround earlier. There are workarounds. One of them is what we call today wholesaling. And this is not for the exam, but it's something you should know. Wholesaling is where you put an offer, like you're going to buy a house, and now you have a contract. But then you sell that contract to somebody else, to the actual investor. Now, because you're a part of the transaction, right, you don't need a license. You were the one buying, and you're selling the paper, not the house. All right, I'll explain that better later on, but that makes it legal. The way they do it is here's $500, or here's a gift card of $500, whatever it is. That part is illegal. Okay?
So
If
that-
you're part of the contract, you're a first party to the contract, you're good. If you're a third party, because very first sentence, anyone that takes part in a real estate transaction for another person, right, in exchange for a commission, fee, or any valid consideration, must have a license. But if you're a first party, because you're the one that put the offer, then it's legal. You got it? So I'm giving you hints if you're going to be an investor.
Yeah.
looking for-
There you go, that's good.
is that basically a signing?
That's an assignment, yes.
Okay, cool.
All right. So in chapter 11, we talk about contracts. I'll explain this part better.
Okay.
Okay? You got all excited for a second. Yes, I got one. I guess.
It's a question on the test.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Assignments.
I thought you said what we was unlicensed assistants.
I'm remembering.
Ah. Oh, by the way, he's remembering. Usually I say that when you take the exam, you get out of there. When you pass or you fail. When you get out, it's a blank. He came back to me and says, Bruno, everything we studied was not there. I had completely different questions. So after 5 minutes of sitting down with him downstairs, I started asking a few questions. He goes like, yeah, there was something like that there. Yeah. So it's a blank, it's normal.
So that's what we're going over right now. I'm like, oh, there's something like that on the test.
Yeah.
So you did this test before.
Yes.
So you're
I'm
You-
an idea of the test.
okay.
It passed,
You
it
can-
passed so good, but they tell him just to come.
You can edit this part out.
Cut. All right. Unlicensed assistants. So salespersons and brokers often use assistants, secretaries, and similar support staff who are not allowed to perform activities that require a license. So can I have somebody sit right there and handle some stuff like office work for me? Do they have to be licensed?
No.
No, they're doing clerical work. All right, and that's the key here. It says in general, you have the next thing highlighted.
Mhm.
In general, prohibited activities are those involving contact with clients or customers. So your assistant must stay behind bars. They cannot touch the clients. Okay? Right? Just like at the zoo, we keep the animals. No. Okay. Wrong reference.
Yeah.
So, we pay the assistants, not like food or bananas.
All right.
You're laughing.
It's terrible.
I know. So pretty much they can't have contact with the client. So here's the things that they cannot do. An unlicensed assistant may not, make sure you underline or circle may not. They may not show property. They cannot answer any questions about listed property, make cold calls by phone or in person, seeking business from potential listers, purchasers, tenants, or landlords, discuss or explain the contract with any other real estate document with anyone outside the brokerage firm, make telephone calls for rent collection, or, please underline, except when accompanying a licensee. Underline, except when accompanying a licensee. They cannot host open houses or promotional booths, distribute promotional material, or attend a home inspection. So what we're saying here with the last one is, that's a question there. But Bruno, nothing you told me was there. Now, see, I have the good students. They go like, Bruno, everything you said was right there. And then I have it into me. So what we're saying is, you cannot host open houses. An open house is like the house is open. Go see the house, right? An inspection, again, house is open. Let the inspector walk around. You don't do anything. And distribute promotion material, just flyers. What's so wrong about any of these three that your assistant cannot be there without you?
People might
They
ask
don't have a
questions.
license.
Just because they don't have a license? If you don't have a driver's license and you still drive, come on. Doesn't mean you don't know how to drive.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I was gonna say, I thought the question was that, why can't they be there?
Mhm.
And my response to that was because they might be, prospective clients might ask them questions.
Boom.
Which you can't.
Questions. See, here's the thing. If I give you a flyer, you'll be, oh, what is that? Well, it's a flyer about this house. And then you start asking me more questions. Because I'm unlicensed, I didn't go through what you guys are going to go through. I might say stuff that will actually hurt the transaction, for instance. For instance, sometimes they ask, oh, this is such a nice house, why are they selling? And your assistant goes, well, I heard they're going through a nasty divorce. What did I just do when I said that?
You just got in the middle of something that you shouldn't have.
And what could happen? Consequence.
That person can be like, well, they can decrease the value or
Yes.
increase whatever they want to
Nobody's going to increase
Well,
for
I'm
them
just
in a
saying,
divorce.
it also depends.
In a divorce, you're hurting.
Yeah.
Okay, how much less would you take to get rid of her or him?
Yeah. Becomes
That's what it is.
But it's conflict.
Exactly. So because your assistant, just so you guys know, your assistants will know more about the deal than you do. Because your job is to talk to a bunch of people.
Right.
Their job is to handle the files.
Mhm.
So they're focused on what the file is versus you trying to bring more buyers or more sellers or whatever. So they know it. And if they answer a question like that and hurts the transaction, you get sued. You got it?
Yeah.
So your unlicensed assistant can never be at any of these without you. And if they ask questions, hey, good question, let me get the realtor. Got it? Okay. So let's figure out what they can do. How are they helpful? And they're actually very helpful. They can answer phones and forward calls. So can Google.
Yeah, pixel.
That's it. They can process and submit listings and changes to the MLS. They can place signs on properties, pick up keys and deliver documents, schedule appointments for showing listed properties, set up files and track and secure documents. And only under the direction of the licensee, they can have keys made for company listings, write and place ads, type contract forms, order items or inspections, and prepare flyers and promotional materials. They can keep records of and deposit earnest money, secure deposit and rent, follow up on loan applications, or compute commission checks. Now, this is actually very helpful, especially the first ones, where we say that they can process and submit changes to listings. Your job is to go out there and get more listings or get more buyers. So if there's a change to be made, you can call the office or send a text, hey, change the price. If there's a change, a major change like that, it must be signed. The good news is that you can sign later. You have 24 hours to submit it. So you keep on going to the next appointment, and the next appointment, without coming back to the office. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So your assistant can have it prepared, as an example, can have it prepared for you at the end of the day to have it signed. Gives you more time to do more things.
Right.
All right? Place signs on properties. Usually what I say to my students is very simple. You go there for the listing, your job is done, get out. If you tell the seller, my assistant is going to be here tomorrow to place the signs, pick up keys or whatever, you're doing two things. One, you're delegating so your life becomes easier and you can go to the next appointment. And two, the seller now knows that you're working as a team, it's not just you. Because that's the biggest fear of every seller. Are you really going to pay attention to me? Right? But if you show that you're working as a team, like I was telling Fernando a couple days ago, if you show you're working as a team, now the seller is more comfortable with working with you versus anybody else. You got it?
Mhm.
And after you said that, you walk to the next door, knock on that door, and say, hey, just got listed or is about to get listed. Do you know anybody that wants to move into the neighborhood? Stuff like that.
Right.
So again, your assistant could help you with these things. Schedule appointments. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter if you're organized or not, your assistant will help you because it gets to a point where you're completely lost. You forget appointments. right? I'll give you a good example. Ricardo's not here, right?
No.
What does that mean?
You got lost.
You got lost. 78, right? There was an
Yeah,
accident.
there's an accident, man.
Even though it was
A
on
monkey
22.
escaped from the zoo.
Oh, you schedule 5 appointments for the same time.
Or 5 appointments for the same time. That's why the system is great. Okay?
Assistance needed.
Assistant needed, yes. All right, to have a license, what is required? So if you don't qualify through any of these, unfortunately, you cannot continue and you have to go. First one is you got to be 18 years of age or older. Have you?
So I have to go. They're 18, sorry.
Yeah, there you go. So sorry, you have to go. Cannot be here. You got to prove that you have a high school education or its equivalent. Yeah. Okay, I'll cut it out. So here's the thing. It's a checkbox that nobody checks. You have to furnish evidence of good moral character. After I said what I said, good moral
There
character.
you
Right?
go.
Who furnishes evidence of good moral character? Do you have an idea? How are you going to prove that you have good moral character?
I was gonna say sound mind. No.
No, that's the first one. 18 years of age or older means that you're,
Sure.
yeah, competent party. But evidence of good moral, so you're going to have to do a background check. That's one of the things. The second thing is, while you're here, I'll determine your ability to be out there. So as an instructor, I can actually deny you from moving forward.
Mhm.
And in my time as an instructor, I only did that to one person. That person went to another class with another instructor. They let him go through, but I didn't. Okay? So be good to me and then I'll get you to the task. On the right-hand side on top, you got to complete 75-hour pre-licensing course, which is what you're doing right here. You have to disclose your social security number for child support enforcement purposes. I have one simple saying: if you made them, pay for them. Easy. Don't run away. And I'm telling you this seriously, because if you don't pay child support, I mean, not you guys, I hope, but if you don't pay child support, one of the first things that they stop is your ability to work.
Mhm.
The second thing is your ability to drive. Third thing, your ability to travel, your passport. You don't mess with child support, not in this country. Okay? You got to provide documentation of citizenship or legal residence in the United States. You have to pass the state examination. So once you pass hours, then you go to state examination. And the most important thing, and it's highlighted there, you got to be sponsored by a licensed real estate broker to activate your license. Underline to activate the license. Because here's the thing: once you pass, you're going to have a piece of paper. That piece of paper has your picture. It says, "Congratulations, you passed," or failed, depending. But it says you passed, right? And then once you pass, it's just a piece of paper. So it's like you're saying, "Hey, I'm able to go through class and pass an exam." Great. But if you don't activate it, if you don't bring it to your broker immediately and have your broker sign off on it, that piece of paper is not making money. Only when you activate your license and it's listed online, then you can start making money. Okay? If you want to become a broker, you have to be 18 years of age or older. So you have to be, again, a legal adult. That's all it means. You have proof equivalent of high school education. I already told you about that. You have furnished evidence of good moral character again. So 3 years later, you're doing fingerprinting again. This is the biggest difference right here. You got to have served at least 3 years as a licensed salesperson. Not any licensed salesperson, a full-time licensed salesperson. That means you were working. I'm going to explain that again in a second. That means you were working. You were not working full-time anywhere else. You were just focused on this. Okay. You have to complete 150 hours of study, consisting of 90 hours of general broker pre-licensing course, 30-hour pre-licensing course on broker's ethics and agency law and relationships, and a 30-hour pre-licensing course on office management and related topics. So here's the question.
Just quit.
You just quit?
150 hours?
You're worse than Allie right now.
Scared of the amendment, man.
So here's-
150 hours.
So here's my question. How many hours do you need to become a broker?
Oh, the broker? Okay.
150.
How many hours do you need to become a broker?
90?
It's crazy, right? Your brain says one thing, but you're not rationalizing. For you to become a broker, you have to become a salesperson first. So 75 plus 150 is 225. If the question on the state exam was, how many hours do you need beyond the salesperson license? then it's 150. You got it?
Okay.
There's also another potential question which says, hey, John is a salesperson who's trying to pursue the broker's license. How many hours does he need? Now it's 150 because he already told you it's a salesperson.
Right. Okay.
All right, so these are the way the questions are asked. You got to look at these key things. Everything else is the same. Then it says to obtain a referral agent license. Referral agent license. There's only 3 bullet points, so it should be easier than becoming a salesperson, right? Because you're just referring anyway, right? Look at the first one. You must fulfill all the requirements of a salesperson or a broker license, including state exam. So not only do you have to do the same thing as all others, you have 2 more points that you need to address. One is submit a certificate stating the legal restrictions on the brokerage activity of a referral agent have been reviewed with a supervising broker. So what we're saying here is that you sat down with your broker, and your broker says, you cannot show houses, you cannot prepare documents, you cannot do this, you cannot sign here. And that is submitted to the state. Do you guys understand?
Yeah.
So you go through 75 hours, you pass an exam, just to figure out that you can't do anything other than refer. And you still have to swear that you're not going to do anything other than refer.
So why not just be a salesperson?
I was waiting for that question. Why not just be a salesperson?
Exactly.
Why would somebody be a referral agent
You get more money anyway.
as a salesperson?
Then,
Depends.
well, yeah.
Because as a
I mean,
salesperson,
you're
I can
doing all
refer
that
to you.
work. You're gonna do all that work.
Yeah, but as a salesperson, I can refer to you. The payout is the same. What's the difference?
You don't have to do any of the work. Well, all you gotta do is find an able body, enable a willing person to buy,
A ready, willing, they will buy. I got you.
and then that's it. Your job
You
is
just let
literally
them
to connect.
But that's as a referral.
Yeah.
As a salesperson, I can do exactly the same thing. So why do one versus the other? What's the biggest difference here?
Because you don't want to physically do that work. You just want to.
So then I recur a referral.
Yeah.
But as a salesperson, I can do the exact same thing. So why would I be a referral versus a salesperson? Here's the difference.
Fees.
Huh?
Fees.
The fees?
The fees.
Well, one part is the fees, but let's forget the fees for a second because it's a yearly fee. It's not like anyway. So let's forget the fees for a second. The biggest difference is if I fall off my bed tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, you know what? Today's a good day to do real estate. As a salesperson, I can go find the buyer, I can go find the seller, and do the transactions. But I can still refer to you. I can do either or. As a referral agent, it doesn't matter how many times I fall off the bed and wake up, hey, I want to do real estate. I can't. I'm locked to referring only. So should you be a salesperson? Yes.
Yeah.
Because think about it. If you have the buyer and you have the seller, why are you referring?
Exactly.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to, but you always have the option. As a salesperson, you can do either or.
Well, once you become a referral agent, you're stuck.
You're stuck, exactly. All right, exceptions all the way at the bottom. Fees. Really? Fees?
Of course.
Poor man's referral agent.
What?
Poor man's referral agent.
Right.
Fees.
Of course. Those fees.
You get one sale done, the fees are paid.
Oh, it's $50 fee.
All right, the $50 fees to change status. If you want to change between referral agent,
Back.
yeah, switch back. If you become inactive, then there's more fees.
Way more.
Way more. Exceptions, because every rule has an exception. So experience requirement. I told you that to become a broker, you need to have 3 years full-time salesperson, right?
Yeah.
It says this experience requirement can be waived, underline can be, or put a circle around can be. Can be waived. It means you don't have to go through it if you're an honorably discharged war veteran with a service-connected wound or disability. So if you served in the military, you go straight to broker.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome because military has everything to do with real estate. You have a lot of experience. I'll tell you right now, it's one of the things that I don't agree with because I have somebody right now that we know personally that was one of my students, right? Actually became part student at one point. One of my students, and because he was a veteran, he applied to become a broker with no experience. And guess what? 2 years later, he's still struggling because he doesn't know what he's doing. He actually approached us for a little help. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I don't agree with this. I think for veterans, they should do way more stuff, but not this.
Should have
'Cause it doesn't
the
help
same
anybody.
process as everybody else.
Yeah, tell me how's it helping the veteran and how's it helping the customer?
Sure.
It doesn't at all.
Yeah.
My point. It says the commission may agree, underline may, agree to waive the education requirements. That's the 75 hours or the 150 for a licensed broker from another state. Someone previously licensed as a real estate broker within the past 5 years. Someone who has taken equivalent real estate courses in college, New Jersey attorneys, and in some cases, certain applicants who took the equivalent pre-licensing course in another state. So if you've done any of these, you don't have to come to class. But it says may. Neither for the broker nor for these does it say they will do it. It says they may. So you have to submit an application, prove that you are a veteran, or in this case, prove that they have experience or somewhere else, and they might agree to waive. Okay? Now, criminals. It says here that no license will be issued to anyone convicted within the preceding 5 years of forgery, burglary, robbery, any theft other than shoplifting, because we all know shoplifting is okay, criminal conspiracy to defraud, or any like offense. So after 5 years of conviction, here's the biggest difference, and this was on the exam. There's being arrested, and there's being convicted. Conviction is when the judge says, you're charged with it. Okay? So after 5 years and 1 day of conviction, you cannot prepare contracts again because forgery is no longer a problem. You can go into people's homes because burglary is no longer a problem. It says robbery, you just wipe them clean. Take the flat screen TV. No problem. And if it's a business, shoplift. Take everything out. It's still not a problem.
It's great.
Right? It's amazing.
We're moving forward.
Moving forward, yeah.
Progressive.
Listen, this is like a second chance program.
Yeah.
Most of the times, and I'll tell you right now, if you know anybody in this situation, most of the time it's as easy as a letter that says, I was young, dumb, and stupid. If you're like in your 50s and this happened recently, then it doesn't fly. But if they were young, like up to like 22, 23 years of age, the commission usually waives all this and lets you go forward. Okay? The other thing that it says is New Jersey does not recognize licenses issued in any other state. There's no reciprocity. What does that mean? We don't like them, they don't like us. So if you have a New York license, it's not valid here. If you have a New Jersey license and you try to go to California, sorry, not happening. Insurance side, you just get appointed with those states. Real estate, you have to go take a course in those states. So you have to do everything again in those states. If somebody in California wants to come to Jersey and get a New Jersey license, they have to come here, 75 hours, take the exam, pass the exam, get appointed with a broker in order to practice here. Other states like New York, you take the license in New York, and they have reciprocity with 12 other states. So you go to Connecticut and just appoint yourself in Connecticut. You go to PA, appoint yourself in PA. You come to Jersey, take the class again.
Wow.
That's how it is. We're very racist. We don't like other states.
Yeah, jerseys.
We're Jersey. That's it.
Everybody knows when you're from Jersey.
That's it.
Crazy.
Somebody go to Canada, then they just assume that you're from New York. Happened to me.
With your permit.
Oh, no.
That's a different one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Different story. Required experience. So for you to become a broker, you need to have 3 years full-time salesperson, right?
Yeah.
Full-time means, as it says here, you work 40 hours per week between the hours of approximately 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. And during that time, you're not employed elsewhere. Make sure you underline, put stars, except on a part-time basis for no more than 25 hours a week. So if you want to have your experience count, you cannot have a job that reports that you work more than 25 hours. If they do, then you'll never become a broker. Okay? Because otherwise you don't have enough experience. That's how they say. Oh, and full-time also means the 3-year experience is right before you get your license. So I know somebody personally that had their license for over 20 years. But in the past few years, especially after recession, they became part-time. And then they said, you know what, I have all these years experience. Let me become a broker. Not happening. You have to have 3 years full-time right before you apply for the license.
Like a current.
Correct. Time limit on the application says applications for real estate license must be submitted to the commission within 1 year of the date when the candidate successfully completed the pre-license course. When do you complete the pre-license course?
When we take our state.
When you pass the test,
You
the,
pass hours,
the classroom test.
you pass the classroom test, you completed the pre-licensing.
Oh.
If you complete the pre-licensing today with us, pass the exam, right? And then you only go take the state exam 6 months later. The score report that says congratulations, you passed, will say you got 6 months left to activate.
Oh.
So our course is what matters.
Okay.
Until you get our certificate, it doesn't start counting. But the moment you have our certificate, you have 1 year to activate your license.
Okay.
Why would you take a year? I don't know. But
You're gonna have to read the bill class.
people do. I actually called a couple of people and say, hey, your year is almost up. What are you doing?
So you guys can keep track of.
I do. I keep track of my students. I try at least.
You care.
You
I
need
do
a
care.
secretary.
I'm fine.
Well,
No, it's actually me. Actually, both of us, we do try to take care of our customers and, students and stuff. Again, that's how I started. Relationships, follow up, and all that stuff.
mhm.
All right. Non-residents. It says someone who does not live in the state may obtain a New Jersey real estate license after qualifying in the usual way and also filing irrevocable consent to service of process. That means consent to be sued in the state. So if somebody in California wants to come practice in Jersey, they can. But again, they got to come for the 75 hours, pass the state exam, become licensed, but consent to be sued in the state of New Jersey. That means if they screw up a deal, we're not suing them in California. They're getting sued here and their broker as well. Does that make sense? So they have to fly from California or drive, whatever they want. Nowadays they can swim because there's going to be a wall somewhere. They can get here. Political joke always good. But they can get
I
here
know.
to defend themselves, okay? Corporations. Can a corporation have a license?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a Remax, Wycliffe, Century 21, any of those, right? So how do they have a license? That means at least one of the officers of the corporation must be the broker of record. So one, you want to put a star there? One of the officers must hold a broker's license. Good?
Sir.
Questions? No questions? Good so far?
Mhm.
All right. The examination, we'll talk about it another time. On the right-hand side on top, it says temporary license. Right above temporary, I want you to write brokers, because temporary broker's license. Could you just check if it's still good? Thank you. Cameraman. For now, please. For those of you that are getting burned out, I'll give you a break in a second.
You're hungry.
No, sorry.
You can hear it?
No, my.
I thought I was the only one. I'm just kidding. Is it good? Still? Okay. All right, temporary broker license. So if a broker dies or becomes mentally or physically incapacitated and the office has no other broker to carry on transactions already in progress, a temporary broker's license may be issued to a salesperson with at least 3 years experience immediately preceding the application. So what we're saying here is that if your broker dies, obviously they're not capable of performing. No, they're not around. If your broker becomes mentally or physically incapacitated, then they cannot perform their duties as a broker either. So if you don't have a sponsoring broker, how do you get paid? How can you keep on showing houses? Who's going to list? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what a commission gives you is an opportunity to step up and say, hey, I'll take over. I'll become the temporary or interim broker of record. So you apply for this. All right? Now it says the salesperson is then expected to complete the application for broker's license within 1 year. What does that mean? It means that you take the course, 150 hours. So they'll give it to you, as long as you show you got 3 years of experience. They'll give to you a temporary license, and then they let you have 1 year to go through 150 hours and pass the state exam for you to become the actual broker of record. If you don't, within 1 year, if you don't, then the license expires and the office can no longer proceed. because there's no broker of record.
Okay.
Or you get somebody else with experience.
What happens if you don't have 30 years experience?
Find
But
somebody
within,
else.
but within that 1 year, you will.
Nope. At the time of application, you must have the degree.
application, you have to have. Okay.
Go back to my broker then.
That was a question.
That was a question? Why do you think I stop at certain questions? Just saying.
Have some water.
Cameraman, can you please, oh, okay, I can have Ally.
What?
Are you give me some?
Oh, sure. Cameraman.
Thank you. I was gonna ask the cameraman, but.
Yeah.
If no one has 3 years, what happens?
Then you're gonna find somebody to do it.
You either find somebody, thank you. So either find somebody that has experience to come into the office, or company collapses. Real estate commission takes over pretty much.
And then those listings could go to a different broker.
Why don't they listen? They just disappear because of all.
The deal's died, you cannot proceed.
Wow. All deal.
Everything must be canceled. That's the problem. Like, who's gonna keep going with them?
Exactly.
If there's money pending, they're returned to the rightful owners, and that's it. Okay. All right, continuing education requirements. I told you guys that every 2 years, you must renew your license, right? Every 2 years. It should be the same with driver's license, but every 2 years, you must renew your license and go through and marriage licenses too. And go through a particular course, and this course is called continuing education. Now it says right here, you must do at least 12 hours. In the state of New Jersey, it's 12 hours of approved continuing education before the end of each 2 year renewal, right? Now it says the required courses include at least 2 hours on ethics. Can you tell me what ethics are? Does anybody know ethics?
Any type of,
And that shows why we need 2 hours every.
I was gonna say sexual harassment.
Really? That's what.
I'm just saying that's part of ethics. What wouldn't it be?
So here's the thing. Ethics is moral conduct. It's knowing what's right and what's wrong. And it scares me because you guys cannot move forward with this class because you don't know what ethics are. You got to know what's right and what's wrong. And the funniest thing is that every 2 years, we got to remind every salesperson, this is right, this is wrong. Every 2 years. Why? Because every salesperson becomes unethical at one point. There's always the workarounds.
Yeah.
Always. And that's the problem. So every 2 years, you have to do ethics. Not always?
No.
You sure?
Absolutely.
I can guarantee you every agent has done something that's not 100%. So again, every 2 years, you have to do this. You also have to complete this on or before April 30th of the renewal year. So that means 2 months before it expires. Why? Because all licenses renew at the same time. The commission wants to have enough time to process everything. If you do between May 1st and June 30th, okay? If you do between May 1st and June 30th, then you might be subjected to a processing fee or penalty of $200 on top of your renewal, on top of the CE credits. Nice, right?
That's a question.
That's a question? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I know, random, right?
Why did I stop there? Like, don't listen to the instructor. It's okay.
When I saw that, I'm like, there's a thief. I mean, I knew there was a thief, and it gives you 200, 2,000, 200,000, and it gives you $20.
And you went for the 200,000.
I don't know, I went for the 200.
Oh, so you're
I went for 200 because I figured like,
That's a safe
like,
number?
That's a safe
Like in
number.
between?
Nothing too crazy, you know.
All right, cool. Failure to renew. Every 2 years you have to renew your license, but what if you don't? It says here, if a broker or salesperson license is not renewed for 2 consecutive years or more after the expiration, then it becomes void. What is void? It's no longer valid. So if you want to get back in the game, what must you do?
Redo the full 75.
Redo all the classes. Like start from zero.
Ah.
So
But it's
you
gonna be easier, because you know.
no, it's not. Oh, look.
What do you mean?
Look.
You forget.
No? You
It's not
forget.
because you forget, it's because ethics are gone.
No, that's the only thing.
No, I'm just kidding. You know what it is? It's that real life application is different than book. What are you doing? I'm not teaching you real estate. I'm teaching you how to pass the exam. That's my job. Because to teach you real estate, the broker is supposed to teach you how to perform, how to act. From a book, you're not going to be able to do anything. Once you're out there, you're gonna realize, oh, it's not what Bruno told me. Does that make sense? It's not what the book says. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you right now, who's been to school before? Kindergarten at least? What do you use from what do you use from school?
Just math, reading.
And math, kind of like whatever.
No, I know
Critical
math.
thinking. That's
Calculator. Google, help me. You know what I'm
Math, reading, basic stuff.
saying? Reading, spelling. That's pretty much it. Unless you go to a specialized area, like history, you become a historian. Then whatever you learn about history, you're going to apply.
Mhm.
Biology, unless you become like a scientist, a doctor, or something like that, you're not going to use it. Does that make sense? So whatever I have here in the book, roughly 80% out the door. 20% is what you apply in real life. Okay? Not even. Okay. But the point is, I'll help you pass the exam. That's my purpose as an instructor. Okay? As a mentor, it's your broker. Okay? Fees. So besides the school fee, besides the exam fee, there's activation of license fee. To activate your license, you need $160 to become a salesperson. Guess how much it is to become a referral agent?
$160.
So why do
Yeah.
anyway? To become a broker is $270.
They're phasing. That's why they phased it out.
No.
Well, you're
It's just that it became
Referral,
confusing
yeah.
switching licenses and stuff. So now it's just get them out of the company, activate, and that's it. All right. Renewal fees are $100 for a salesperson or referral agent license, and $200 for a broker. So every 2 years, salespeople, you guys are going to pay $100. Brokers, $200. On the next page, it says a broker. You guys cannot see, but it's in green. It's a guaranteed question. It says a broker who goes out of business must close out the escrow account, remove signs, notify clients, and provide the commission with a name and address where the past records will be available for 6 years. Underline 6 years. We're going to talk about this several times throughout the book. Was it there?
It was there, but they what do you call it? They asked you if do the records have to be paper copy, digital copy? It can be can it be like basically they asked you can it be on a USB drive? If it can be in a file
Does it say any
cabinet?
of the above?
No,
None of the above?
not neither one of those.
Okay, so you gave me 3. There's one more.
It specifically, I forgot those. But it specifically asks you which way can it be.
You just got to keep records. So I don't know what options you got there. I'm sure there's one that says any or something like that.
There wasn't.
Because you just got to keep records. Right now, everything is e-file.
Okay.
So they're digital. There's no requirement if I should keep paper or digital. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there's something in the question that validates a part of it. You have to,
Okay.
yeah. So you have to look into the question. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the question is there. That's why I always stop at these things. And I appreciate him being here because then it validates everything I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But until now, nothing was in the exam.
Hey man, blacked out. It's like when Will Ferrell went up there at old school.
Oh yeah. All right. This part we're gonna skip. We're gonna just briefly go over it. Skip because you already know we have 75 hours to do. You have to pass, get a score report. You have to submit the score report signed by the broker. You know all that. But on number 3, it says you got to complete a fingerprinting process and consent through criminal history record check. Okay. Where do you get that? In the next paragraph, it says Morpho Trust. So if you go to www.buyopkin.com/NJ, or if you call them, you can book your fingerprint. It costs $62.70. And in the second paragraph there, it says you have to bring the universal form. So at the end, I'll help you with that, so don't worry. But you got to do fingerprints. You did them, so you know. You got to do fingerprints. Are you interrupting my class?
Sorry.
This is on camera. You're interrupting talking about refunds. There's no refunds in this class, by the way. All right, salesperson or referral agent license examination. What's important here is that you know that the exam, the state exam, is not administered by us. It's not administered by the state. It's by PSI services. So once you pass our exam, or school exam, right? Once you pass the school exam, then you get a certificate. That certificate enables you to register with psiexams.com, or you're going to receive an email from the school that says, from PSI, that means that the school entered you into the system, and you receive, hey, congratulations, you're now eligible to take the New Jersey Real Estate Salesperson exam. You're going to click on that, you're going to fill out the information that's there, and to schedule the appointment, it says right there, appointments. The administrator of the state allows 4 hours, the appointment itself, to complete the exam. So you got up to 4 hours to complete it. Up to. You don't have to stay there for 4 hours. If you stay there more than 2.5 hours, something is wrong. If you get out of there in 30 minutes, something is wrong. Just letting you know. You can always do what certain people do is like pick C every time and hopefully goes through it. Yeah, it might work. Or the longest one, right? Pick the longest answer. That might work as well.
There's a guy there that was there last time. He was there for all 4 hours, and the guy, the PSI, the proctor, he came in, and he said he whispered something in his ear, and all you heard was, and he got up, through the door, and walked out.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right, time's up.
pretty epic.
Not only that, if you get there late, I'm going to talk about that in a second. If you get there late, it's up to the proctor to allow you to go in or send you back home.
Wow.
And if they do, the exam fee is $45 every time you go there.
No refund.
No refunds. Okay? Here's the schools that you can go to. Drake, Cherry Hill, Linwood, Mercerville, and so on. I usually recommend New Providence. That's the place I like to go to. You also have, on the other side, you have Parsippany. I would avoid Secaucus. Some people don't have luck with Secaucus. I just don't like the traffic.
Yeah.
Any place that has traffic, your mind's going to be on road rage versus the exam. So New Providence, Parsippany, mainly New Providence. Parsippany still gets some traffic depending on the times you go. But New Providence, usually it's very quiet. And once you get there, it's so peaceful that you focus on what you're doing. What do you have to bring to take the exam? You got to bring 2 forms of ID, and one must be a government-issued photo ID. All right? I always recommend that you don't bring anything else. This is more for the ladies, not for you. Don't bring purse, don't bring anything that day. Keep everything in the car. Put it in the trunk, hide it, do whatever you want. You just bring 2 things, 2 forms of ID, and, 3 things. 2 forms of ID and a calculator. Some places don't allow you to bring a calculator. Some allow you to bring it. Okay? But if you bring anything else, then they have lockers there, and you can put it in the locker, but now you're wasting time. Now your mind's stressed out because you still have to go in, you still have to sit down, you still have, so you're not thinking about the exam anymore. When I go in, I usually bring the 2 forms of ID right there, ready to go inside, take your exam.
Typically you pass.
That's it. Oh, and the certificate you passed. You got it?
Don't bring certificate.
The examination says right here, candidates should arrive at least 30 minutes before their scheduled appointments, and they're allowed up to 4 hours to complete the exam. There's 80 general real estate questions. 10% of them are math. So you have up to 8 math questions. 30 questions are specifically on New Jersey real estate, and you have to have a score of 70. Passing grade is 70. Just to clear it out, and I'll explain that later time as well, 70 means 77 questions right. I've had students that text me and said, Bruno, I had 73. I passed. Why did they say I failed? Because it's not 73. You had 73 questions right out of 110. So that means your score was actually 68%. You need to have 70%. So that's 77 questions that must be correct. All right? In case of failure, retakes are permitted, but not within 24 hours. And it says, after successful completion of the state examination, the sponsoring broker will notify the state of the new salesperson association. A new salesperson may begin to work as soon as his or her name appears in the state licensee's name search. So as soon as your name's online, that's it. You're able to work. On the right-hand side on top, this says guarantee fund. Do you see? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the guarantee fund was established to reimburse members of the public who suffer monetary loss due to the wrongdoing in real estate transaction by a licensed broker or salesperson or unlicensed employee of a broker. So pretty much this was created like with every application, I'm going to show you in a second, with every application for license, they take a portion of their money, put it into a pot, and if anything happens, the money's there. So if you screw up on a deal and there's no insurance, which we'll talk about tomorrow, if there's no insurance, which is called errors and omissions. Then they come sue you, and they sue also the real estate commission. So it says right here that the party must first obtain a court judgment naming the real estate commission as a party to the suit. So if you're going to sue me, you have to sue the commission as well in order to get part of that money. And a criminal claim must also be filed against the offending party. You see that highlighted? Okay, criminal claim against the offending party. The good news, highlighted next, says maximum payment for a single claim is $20,000 per offense. So if you get sued, the maximum they'll pay out is $20,000. The bad news, right at the bottom, is that once the fund pays a claim against a broker or salesperson, that person's license is revoked until the fund is reimbursed with interest. What does that mean? If you're a full-time agent, you cannot work until you pay back with interest. Okay, so the fun part, the good part, 20,000 is the max, so 1 or 2 deals, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, if you don't have that money, you won't work to get those 2 deals. Okay? Questions? All right, you guys are an easy class. Great. Interstate property. What does interstate mean?
Between different states.
Between different states. So you're going to write out of state. Interstate, you're going to write out of state. Why is that important? Because we're talking about properties in the Poconos, for instance, being advertised to New Jersey residents. We could do dealings with other states. We can buy property in any state. But if they're advertised to New Jersey residents, the New Jersey Real Estate Commission set up protections for the consumers. Okay? So it says the regulations contained in the Real Estate Sales Full Disclosure Act are intended to protect the public from unscrupulous developers or marketers or from undue sales pressure. Okay? I want you to skip to the next paragraph at the bottom. It says buyers have up to 7, it's highlighted, up to 7 calendar days to cancel contracts for purchase or lease of such land. So I want you to put a star next to that.
It's on the test.
Really? It's like I never took
So
that
the
test.
viewer can know.
Huh?
So the
So
viewer can know that
Mhm.
you need it.
It's the funniest thing. Nothing that was highlighted, nothing that we went over is on the test. How many times did you say it was on the test? All right. Don't feel bad,
No, no.
because you guys are going to go through the same thing.
I'm pretty sure.
When you get there, it's like a blank. On the next page, right above rental referral agencies, it's highlighted, you see? It says recent real estate commission rules also address non-New Jersey properties that are advertised in New Jersey in languages other than English. So this is recent because not too long ago, I'll give you an example. On the Hispanic television, they were advertising properties in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Mhm.
The thing is, they use an actor from Chips. Okay? So Eric Estrada, do you know? Have you heard of him? Okay. So they use an actor that's known to the Hispanic community, and they do this like, you see those donations on TV, they use actors.
Yeah.
They're not even there. It's like a green screen.
Mhm.
It's the same fly in every single movie, right? Anyway, so the flies never go to the actor for some reason. They're on the children, but not on the actor. But they're right there.
He's special.
They're special. It's the perfume, the pheromones. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is they put an actor to like enhance something. Oh, I recognize him. One of our guys that made it to the big screen and they're successful, whatever. That automatically attracts. It's a marketing strategy. So they're advertising to New Jersey residents. And these New Jersey residents, what do? Live in Florida for $100-something thousand, have a mansion? Sure. Some quit their jobs. Some sold their houses. Went down there to find land, dirt. It was undeveloped. They were buying at pre-construction prices. So they gave up everything here, went down there. All because the advertisement did not mention pre-construction. It says you could own. It didn't say it was ready today. All right? So they came up with these rules to protect us. So it says now, subsequent forms, so anything that's advertised in a language other than English, must be made available to prospective purchasers in the same language as was used in the original advertisements. So if you start an advertisement on TV in Spanish, any form that's submitted or any contact that goes from there on with the people, it must be in Spanish. If you start in Japanese, it's Japanese. If you start in Chinese, it's Chinese. Italian is Italian, and so on. Does that make sense? Very important because that's a
test.
test. You were gonna say that?
No, I was gonna ask what happens if the advertisements in Spanglish.
Spanish.
Yeah, you should watch Univision. It's like some commercials in there.
No, Univision, I know.
Spanish and English.
I know.
It's like, whoa, buddy.
Listen, there's some Portuguese trying to speak English the same thing, and vice versa. It's just the way it is. But what's written is what matters. All right, rental referral agencies, and then we'll go for a quick break. Rental referral agencies. This is very important. It says every person working in a rental referral agency who for a fee refers prospective tenants to the rental units, underline, put stars, is required to have a real estate license and to enter into a written contract with each prospective tenant. This contract must specify such things as services to be performed, fees charged, date and term of the contract, and a refund policy. That means if you're showing houses somebody to rent, you must have a contract with that prospective tenant that says, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you, and this is how much it's going to cost you. Right? If there's an application fee, here's the application fee, here's what I'm going to do with it, and if I don't do it, here's how I'm going to refund to you, or not. But it must be stated. And how long is this going to last? I'm going to look for houses for you for the next 30 days. After 30 days, that's it, we're done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it has to state everything in that contract. Okay, realtors?
Okay.
And that was the best part of every chapter. It says summary.